The NHL offseason is a relentless, unforgiving beast, a maelstrom of speculation, negotiation, and a constant recalibration of plans. For the Montreal Canadiens, the pursuit of a top-six forward has been a saga of near misses, closed doors, and strategic recalculations that would test the patience of a saint. Just when one door appears open, another slams shut, forcing Kent Hughes to constantly adapt and pivot. To find the cracks in the market, the opportunities born from another team's desperation. And now, a seismic event in Anaheim has created precisely that kind of opportunity, a tidal wave that could finally bring a much-needed top-six forward to Montreal. The hockey world held its breath as the Philadelphia Flyers, with an audacity that sent shockwaves across the league, launched an $18 million AV offer sheet at Leo Carlsson. This was a bold, aggressive play, a clear signal from Flyers general manager Daniel Briere that his team was ready to make a major splash. While the Anaheim Ducks, bless their hearts, possessed the cap space to match this staggering offer, doing so has left them in a precarious financial position. Matching Carlson's deal means committing an enormous chunk of their salary cap to one player, leaving them with a mere $9 million to sign Cutter Gauthier, a cornerstone of their future, and navigate the rest of their roster needs. This isn't just a team in a bind. This is a team backed into a corner, desperate to create cap space. And that desperation is precisely what the Montreal Canadiens, with their significant cap flexibility and deep prospect pool, can and absolutely should exploit. The consequences of Anaheim's decision extend far beyond the Ducks and Flyers. This single act has changed the financial landscape for multiple teams, creating a chain reaction that could ripple across the league. Clubs with important restricted free agents must now prepare for the possibility of another aggressive offer sheet, a tactic that Briere has proven he's willing to employ. If one of those teams is forced to commit enormous cap space to a young star, it may need to trade an established player or move salaries sooner than planned. That is where the Canadiens, under the shrewd guidance of Kent Hughes, could enter the picture, poised to capitalize on another team's misfortune. The player Montreal should be watching most closely, the one who represents the most tantalizing opportunity in this unfolding drama, is Kirill Marchenko. The Columbus Blue Jackets winger has been a name consistently connected to the Canadiens' search for additional scoring, and for good reason. Hughes would undoubtedly love to bring him to Montreal. Marchenko would not be a temporary solution or a depth addition. He would be the kind of powerful, productive forward who could fundamentally strengthen the Canadiens' top six and grow alongside Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, Uri Slafkovsky, and Ivan Demidov, forming a core that could dominate the league for years to come. The reason this possibility has become more realistic has less to do with Marchenko himself and more to do with Adam Fantilli, the Columbus center who is eligible to receive an offer sheet. Philadelphia, having missed out on Carlsson, still has money and motivation to make a major move. Briere could very well redirect the cap space he had reserved for Carlsson toward another elite young player, and Fantilli, a prodigious talent, fits that bill perfectly. If the Flyers were to submit an offer approaching the value of the Carlsson deal, the Blue Jackets would face an incredibly difficult decision. They could match it and keep Fantilli, a player they undoubtedly view as a cornerstone, but doing so might dramatically reshape their salary structure, forcing them into a cap crunch similar to Anaheim's. Columbus currently has meaningful cap space, yet that room must cover more than one contract. Fantilli, Cole Sillinger, and goaltender Jet Greaves all need new deals. A giant offer sheet for Fantilli could force management to prioritize quickly, and that may make the organization far more willing to discuss trades it previously had little interest in considering. Marchenko, a proven top-six scorer on a team-friendly contract, is exactly the type of player other teams would call about, and the Canadiens have already shown their interest. For Montreal, the attraction is obvious, almost irresistible. The Canadiens have made impressive progress, transforming from a bottom feeder to an Eastern Conference finalist in a remarkably short period. But the roster, while talented and exciting, still needs another reliable offensive weapon capable of producing against strong competition. Suzuki and Caulfield have carried a significant portion of the scoring burden, while Slafkovsky and Demidov represent major parts of the team's future. Adding Marchenko would give head coach Martin St. Louis another dangerous option, a legitimate top-six threat, and make the lineup much harder to defend, creating matchup nightmares for opposing coaches. Marchenko also fits the age profile Hughes has consistently targeted. Montreal is not trying to patch the roster with aging rentals who may help for only a few months. The organization wants players who can contribute now and remain important when the team is ready to challenge for the Stanley Cup. A forward entering the prime of his career, like Marchenko, is far more valuable than a short-term veteran with declining production. He aligns perfectly with the Canadiens' competitive window, ensuring that the team's investment yields long-term dividends. His style of play would also address a specific need that becomes increasingly critical in playoff hockey. Montreal has skill, speed, and creativity in abundance, but playoff hockey often demands size, strength, and the ability to finish chances in traffic. Marchenko can play a direct offensive game without sacrificing skill. He can attack the net, create pressure, D the crease, and provide the scoring presence that becomes increasingly important when space disappears and the game becomes more physical during the postseason. He brings a blend of finesse and power that would make the Canadiens a more complete and dangerous offensive unit. The potential lineup combinations with Marchenko will become one of the most exciting parts of the deal. He could play beside Suzuki and Caulfield, giving Montreal's top line another major finishing threat, making them virtually unstoppable. He could also help create a second dangerous unit with Slavkovsky and Demidov, providing a veteran presence and consistent scoring touch to complement their burgeoning talents. Either arrangement would give St. Louis greater flexibility, allowing him to roll four lines with confidence and preventing opponents from concentrating all of their defensive attention on one line. This kind of depth is what separates contenders from pretenders. However, acquiring him would not be easy. Columbus would have no reason to accept a weak offer, especially because Marchenko is one of the team's most valuable offensive players. The Blue Jackets would likely ask for young, inexpensive talent in return, particularly if their goal would create cap space after matching an offer sheet for Fantilli. Montreal has the assets to make that kind of proposal, but Hughes would need to decide how much of the future he is willing to sacrifice. This is a delicate balance of a general manager building a contender, knowing when to hold M and when to fold M. The Canadiens possess an enviable wealth of prospects, significant draft capital, and several players on entry-level contracts who are either NHL-ready or on the cusp. That combination could be incredibly attractive to a team facing salary pressure and looking to replenish its pipeline. A package built around an NHL-ready young player, a strong prospect, and a draft pick might begin a serious conversation. Still, Hughes has been careful throughout the rebuild, and he is unlikely to overpay simply because the market has become active. His patience has been one of his greatest strengths, allowing Montreal to accumulate assets without rushing the process, waiting for the right player rather than forcing a move for the wrong one. Marchenko could be different because he checks so many boxes. He brings scoring, physical tools, youth upside, and a realistic chance to remain part of the team for several seasons, making him a truly unique and valuable target. There is also an important competitive element that cannot be ignored. The Canadiens are no longer operating like a club satisfied with gradual improvement. Expectations have changed dramatically, and fans now want management to turn progress into legitimate contention. Adding a forward of Marchenko's caliber would send a powerful message that the organization believes the next stage has begun, that the time for patience is giving way to the time for winning. It would energize the fan base, validate the rebuild, and signal to the rest of the league that Montreal is a force to be reckoned with. The Flyers' next decision may ultimately determine whether Montreal receives that opportunity. Philadelphia general manager Daniel Briere took an enormous swing at Karlsson and failed only because Anaheim matched. It would be surprising if he simply abandoned his pursuit of a major addition. Should he target Fantilli, Columbus could become one of the busiest teams in the league, and Hughes would almost certainly be ready to call, armed with a meticulously crafted trade package. Even without an offer sheet for Fantilli, Montreal's interest in Marchenko should not disappear. Hughes has shown persistence when he identifies a player who fits his vision, and Marchenko appears to be one of those players. The Canadiens may continue exploring a deal regardless of what Philadelphia does, although Columbus would have far less incentive to negotiate without outside financial pressure. The key is timing and the ability to strike when the iron is hot. Montreal cannot control whether the Flyers make another offer sheet, whether the Blue Jackets match it, or whether Columbus becomes willing to move salary. What Hughes can control is preparation. He must know exactly which assets he is prepared to offer and how far he is willing to go before negotiations begin. He must have multiple contingency plans, ready to execute at a moment's notice. If the dominoes fall in Montreal's favor, this could become one of the defining moves of the Canadiens' rebuild. Marchenko would not merely add goals to the lineup. He could help transform the offense, deepen the top six, and give Montreal another player capable of making a difference when games become tighter and more physical, when the stakes are highest, and when championships are won. For now, the Canadiens can only watch the fallout and remain ready. The Karlsson offer sheet drama may be over, yet its consequences are only beginning. If Philadelphia turns toward Fantilli and Columbus feels the pressure, Kent Hughes may finally get the chance to pursue the forward he has wanted all along, the player who could be the missing piece in Montreal's quest for glory. The stage is set, the players are in position, and the next act of this thrilling off-season drama is about to begin.